Robert, may I help you?
Hi, Mr. Breck?
Yes, sir.
Oh, hi. I was given your number by Alicia. I had some questions. I left you a message. I think I called Friday. Left you a message, but just that I'd call you back.
Okay.
I'm looking into the vaccination refusal forms.
Yes, sir.
And I'm trying to find out what I've talked to a lawyer, and it seems that that is an application for a waiver. Is that correct? Do you know about these forms?
Well, I don't know that it's an application for a waiver. The waiver will be granted if you just fill it out correctly. Yeah,
okay, yeah, but it's basically, it's not on the website, so I have to call in to get it sent to me. And then the way it reads, if you read it, it says, I then fill it out, and then I send it in as a request for the waiver. And I'm not quite understanding what that is.
I think
you're saying it will always be.
Well, if you've done it correctly, and if it's done, I'll give you a little history on that.
Sure, if you got time, I'd like to hear it because I'm getting some feedback that
like it's cumbersome or it shouldn't be that difficult. What happened prior to the passage of that law, which I believe went into effect in 2003? Prior to that, the only exemptions that were available in Arkansas were a religious exemption that was very constricted as far as who it applied to, and you could have a medical exemption. Now, the only people that could get...
Now, are you talking for children?
Yes.
Okay, well, I'm talking for adults, too, here.
Well,
I'm not just limited to children.
It didn't matter. I mean, it's the same thing, though.
Well, no, I can refuse a vaccination whenever I want.
I mean, I assume are you going into college, or is this what you're asking, or what's the...
No, I'm concerned about mandatory vaccinations for the swine flu.
Well, there is no mandatory vaccination for the swine flu.
Well, if you read the CDC, you'd read that differently, I'm afraid.
Well, I'm not saying there couldn't be in the future, but...
Well, exactly, that's my point.
There's certainly nothing...
Well,
And that's very, I mean, that's constitutional. There's no doubt about it.
Well, there are a lot of things that are constitutional that are being undone right now, so that is why I'm questioning it.
This is a law that goes back, 100 years, maybe more. Mandatory vaccinations they're legal, and they've gone to the Supreme Court. There's no doubt about it.
That you're saying vaccinations can be made mandatory?
Absolutely.
Absolutely?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Because you're not only endangering, it's not as if you refuse a vaccine, it's only going to affect you. It also could affect everyone that you come in contact with.
Well, that's an insane way to look at it from the perspective that I'm coming from. Because
what perspective are you looking at it from then?
Well, I'm wondering why the Baxter issue has not been put in as part of this paperwork here, where it shows, research on, what a vaccine...
Baxter issue? I'm not sure what that is.
That's the one where they had avian flu virus in the flu vaccine.
Okay.
And sent it to 18 different countries. And luckily, some people tested it on some animals before they administered it and caught it.
Well, I mean, it's obvious that you're opposed to vaccines, but I mean... Well,
yes, and I have the choice. I am an American.
Surely you're aware of the great advances in the lives that have been saved due to the vaccine, are you not?
Oh, no, I'm not at all, actually. That's a misnomer.
So the eradication of smallpox doesn't...
Well, I'm more interested in more recent things, like...
But
I'm not trying to get into an argument. What I'm trying to do is protect myself, if you understand. And
what I'm trying to do is get to see exactly where you stand, though. I mean, you do recognize that...
I'm an American, and I have a legal right to make my own decision whether or not somebody sticks a needle in me.
Well, not when it...
Is that not true?
People.
I'm sorry?
That's true.
That's not true?
No.
You got to be kidding me.
No.
You really believe that? As a lawyer, you believe that I don't have the right to deny a vaccination?
Absolutely.
That's quite an interesting concept. And
I don't know why you're having a problem with that.
You don't know why I'm having a problem with that.
No,
Oh, okay.
the law is very
Have you heard of autism?
The Supreme Court made it very clear, and it's been made clear several times. That there's no doubt about it. Mandatory vaccinations are constitutional.
Okay.
I mean,
Now, I appreciate that. I don't appreciate it, but if that's where we're at, then I need to find out how I can say no. That's what I'm really interested in.
Okay.
Because my religion doesn't allow it, personally.
Okay. Well, then that's really immaterial as far as whether it's constitutional or not. But
No, because I'm an American and have a religion.
it doesn't
And
matter.
It doesn't matter.
You could be any religion you wanted. If the legislature mandated a certain vaccine, it would be mandated for everyone.
Okay.
Now, the only reason you have right now a philosophical or religious exemption available in Arkansas is because the Arkansas legislature decided to put that in the law. Had they decided not to put that in the law, there'd be no religious or philosophical exemptions.
Okay.
And medical exemptions are a different thing. You know, but no, I mean they're constitutional. There's no question about it.
There's no question about it.
Absolutely.
That's quite an interesting statement, actually.
Have you read the Supreme Court cases?
I don't have. That's not the only thing. I would like to. Yeah, if you can refer me to those.
Sure.
Because they're unconstitutional.
The seminal case is Jacobson versus Massachusetts.
Jacobson. Okay, so back to versus Mass. Okay, basically, I am trying to find out how I can protect myself from mandatory vaccination, from mandatory vaccine. Is the paperwork that I've been sent, which talks about children and exempting them from school, and doesn't have an area for other, where I can fill in the vaccine that I don't want. So the paperwork isn't up to speed, is what I'm saying.
But there's no vaccine that applies to you. What vaccine are you being required to take?
Well, if you read the CDC pages, very soon it is very possible that the H1N1 will be mandatory. Very possible.
And if it is mandatory, and there's not an exemption that applies for that vaccine, then it would be mandatory.
It would be mandatory, i.e. how? Enforced by law? Like somebody stick a gun in my face and say I'm going to take it? Is that what you're saying?
And read Jacobson. No, you could be criminally held liable. You could be
for not taking the swine flu vaccine. That's what you're telling me.
You're talking about a hypothetical because it's not mandatory.
Well, have you read the CDC page? You've asked if I read the Supreme Court page. Have you read the CDC page that your website is connected to?
But I can tell you that Arkansas has no mandatory swine flu vaccine.
But in an emergency, if the CDC dictates it, is that not what you're saying, overriding that and saying I will be? That's where my gray part is that I don't understand.
Well,
that's why I'm not calling you just to chat.
Sure.
I'm calling you for your legal understanding, because I wouldn't waste your time.
If the CDC had a nationwide mandatory flu vaccine requirement, and you would have to take that up with the federal authorities, and our exemption forms would have nothing to do with it. Those are state forms based on state law.
So I need a federal.
Yeah,
I need a federal exemption form. These state forms I'm wasting my time with.
Yeah, the state form would do no good if the CDC somehow mandated nationally
an emergency.
Right.
Because we're under a CDC, we're under a Health Services declared anthrax emergency as we speak. It's been going on for a long time now.
Well,
Did you know that?
Anthrax is out there. Yeah.
So, but we're under an emergency, so they have the capability right now of doing that.